opinion is of the human rights situation in Romania today?
Well, the human rights situation in Romania is extremely bad. It's atrocious.
Examples, please.
The Romanian government is a Stalinist-type personality cult built around the president of Romania, Nicolae Ceausescu, whom we've just seen. The government is rife with corruption. There's nepotism on the part of the Ceausescu family. All of the Ceausescu family members occupy key positions in the government. The particular brunt of this oppression, those who are singled out for this oppression, are the large national minorities in the country, 2.5 million Hungarians and over 300,000 Germans. These people are in a situation where there's economic misery. These people are singled out as scapegoats, somehow responsible for the economic misery. This is a form of detracting attention away from the everyday economic misery in the country.
Well, you've heard the reports here tonight on CNN that say Secretary of State Schultz was there, he talked human rights, and that there was a threat of withdrawing the most favored nation trading status from Romania if they didn't make some improvements. Is that enough?
We don't believe it is. In fact, the State Department has taken a very conciliatory attitude towards the Romanian oppressive regime. In fact, we should make a distinction between the U.S. Congress and the Secretary of State, that is the administration. It is the U.S. Congress which has become increasingly concerned over the oppressive practices of the Romanian government, and this is what Secretary of State Schultz conveyed to the Romanian leadership. Indeed, the State Department and the administration have taken a very, very backward, not a very forceful position. It's maintained a cozy relationship with the Romanian regime, propounding the myth that the Romanian government is somehow independent of the Soviet Union.
Well, it appears, though, that Romania is the closest thing to an ally the United States has in the communist world of Eastern Europe, does it not? And do you have any hope that the United States will somehow put any real pressure on their government for change in light of that?
Well, we are very hopeful that the U.S. government will do that, or in fact has done that. But the question of Romania's independence is very much in question. It's not a genuine independence. Indeed, you just have to look at the map that you just presented on the air. Romania is landlocked. It's a communist ally that could not even take any genuine independent gestures. What it does do is present a smokescreen of independence by taking such meaningless gestures as attending the Olympics or maintaining relations with Israel. I should add that it maintains even better relations with the PLO. The Romanian government affords training to PLO terrorists within its own country.
Mr. Hamish, Rick Moore in Atlanta, let me follow up on that line of thinking, if you would, sir. As you mentioned, unlike the Soviet Union, Romania at least recognizes Israel. They reportedly do not permit Soviet troops in their country, and they don't take part in Soviet-packed maneuvers. We're not talking about a friendly neighbor of ours like Canada, for instance. Can we really expect more from a Soviet satellite than we're getting?
True independence on the part of the Romanian regime would be internal liberalization. Romania is perhaps the most orthodox of all the East European countries in applying repressive human rights behavior towards its own population. It is not liberalized in any sense and not independent in any sense if we look at those considerations which should be of key concern to our own government.
Let's go back to this business of trade and the economic impact it could have. As John mentioned earlier, there's growing pressure from Congress on Capitol Hill for President Reagan to end the most favored nation status for Romania. Does your group advocate that now?
We most definitely do. The Romanian government has had 10 years. In fact, most favored nation status was first extended to Romania in 1975. It has had 10 years in which to improve its human rights behavior. And I should emphasize that the condition for continuation of most favored nation status is the country's human rights practices. It has not lived up to those conditions in recent times, and in fact has become far more brutal, particularly as regards the national minorities.
Are you at all optimistic? A senior U.S. official after the meeting today, he would not be identified, but he told reporters there that in settling the human rights concerns today, this is his quote, there was no timetable. Are you optimistic this trip accomplished something?
I hope that it will have accomplished something, but I'm extremely skeptical, to be frank. We have not seen any truly vigorous protest on the part of the State Department to raise these issues. I should mention Poland is not the only case where Roman Catholic priests are murdered. In Romania last year, the Hungarian Roman Catholic priest Géza Pálffy was murdered at the hands of Romania's secret police, the Securitate. I have not seen a single instance where the State Department has raised that issue. It's also a country where Bibles, Hungarian language Bibles, were recycled into toilet paper, an outrageous act. I have not seen a single instance where the State Department has protested that. And I could go on down the line. Many other grievous human rights grievances and violations have not been raised by our own administration.
Mr. Hamish, thanks you so much for being with us. I wish we had more time to discuss this. Laszlo Hamish, the chairman of the Romanian Committee for Human Rights, speaking to us from our New York bureau. Stay with us. Prime News Sunday continues.
Early in 1982,